Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where it's been far too long since I've been able to introduce this Protoss player in the red, the Shield of Ire. Its stats. Up against the Polish Zerg in the blue, we have Elazer. A best of 5 Protoss versus Zerg to determine who's got one of the last chances at qualifying for the $1 million Esports World Cup next month. Elazer's top tier timings or Stats' more cinematic defense. Hopefully you'll find something you like. And then, smash the like button. And maybe subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we... No, you can't say cringe. We're too old. 1,374 likes. One more than yesterday if you're counting. On this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. Hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. I don't know if these two have ever faced in a high-profile match. Maybe like GSL versus the World years ago. Both of them not at the tippy top, but just below it. That's why they're competing for one of the last slots. But Stats, well, no, I mean, he's called the Shield of Ire, so that you should be able to put that together. Whereas Elazer is both loved and not so loved, depending on who's on the other side, for his religious commitment to timings. Just picking a drone count and saying, that's it, I'm going. I don't know if we'll see it here. Maybe he's expanded that a bit. And so far, he's expanded to 3 bases like you might expect. And Stats on the other side, sticking to the playbook that he pretty much wrote years ago with the early oracles into a few adepts to pressure. And a 3rd base behind. The oracles, much like the queens who are already here to defend, are kind of necessary. Otherwise, you end up with a massive blind spot. Whether it's scouting and early defense for Protoss or for queens, essentially, Zerg just doesn't work without them. You're goddamn right. So, without queens, you find yourself in an impossible position. I mean, also, any sort of early offense kind of requires queens as well. Because of said oracle, so they're 2 sides of a very weird coin. If either of them could hold it, which I'm not entirely confident in. But +1 melee attack looks to be the choice from Elazer. Gets that very quick Evo chamber, which leads itself into, well, just straight up mass Zergling. But a lot of the time, a quick hive sort of play as well to take advantage of it. The Shady Bunch coming in. 4 adepts to keep the Zerg honest. Make sure that drone count stays under control. You can't kill them, not while the oracles are overhead. But you have to build enough Zerglings and have your queens in position to defend. There's simply nothing you can do to deal with it until you get an overwhelming number of Zerglings, which of course cuts into your drone count. Now, on the other side, Stats has no interest in doing any sort of those crazy adept timings we've been seeing a lot lately. But instead, double Forge and a Robo. And the Oracles, well, Brenda, why do they get to fly? We don't talk about that, Susan. It's game 1. It's too meta. You're being weird. So the 4th base burned out. Elazer maybe a bit optimistic, taking it with no creep spread to cover. But Roach Warren is on the way. And double upgrades, as Stats is apparently in is that a second Robo? A second Robo, a Twilight Council, more gates. He's getting the gas geysers on his 3rd. He hasn't built a unit in like a minute and a half. So he's getting pretty much everything. He got the full Protoss mid-game bundle. Now 20% off when you like and subscribe. But the Threekles jammed into the corner. The queens put him there. And a Templar Archives too. Okay. Well, a small loan of 1 million minerals, and maybe he can afford more. But Dropper Lord produced, as well as Overlord Speed on the way, which we're at 64, going up towards 66 drones. So if there was a timing, that's the economy we're looking for. The Dropper Lord, I don't know if he noticed it. It would be a bit of a giveaway, but So far, 11 roaches in production. No indication of a Hydra den, no infestation pit, no I don't even think there's a baneling nest right now. It looks like Elazer is intent. Are you gonna... Are we doing the thing? We'll get back to you on that. The taxi! Ladies, get ready! I ordered us an Uber! A German taxi build. Roach Ling. This is quite a long-winded all in 7.5 minutes. A baneling nest behind, but otherwise no indicator of interest in progressing tech any further. Elazer is going to try to outright kill Stats. And Stats just started his 2-2 upgrade. He's going for a 4th base. He's giving no respect to what Elazer is doing right now. It really feels like both players have just gone about their build, kind of regardless of what their opponent is doing. And Elazer doing the creep drop, one of my favorite little underused things. But here we go. Stats has to hold against this. And Elazer's put everything into this attack. The Queen's already gone down. I have no idea where the Oracles went. Oh, in the main, cleaning up the Zergling drop, which he already had a cannon for defense. The Immortal's going down. The cannon's holding. Battery overcharge is putting in absolute work right now. And the Oracles finally come down to defend. But the Roaches and Ravagers have overrun. But the Queens are already dead. The Queens were here to deal with the Oracles. And they're dead before the Oracles even arrive. But Corrosive Biles actually managed to land. But I don't think it matters. The Oracles, badly bruised, but will burn out enough of the Ravagers. And at the end of the day, Stats holds the line and loses. He's lost 2 probes. So, Stats holds with exactly as much as he needed. He lost his cannons. He lost most of his Immortal Archon. He lost effectively all of his gateway units. But he kept every bit of his infrastructure intact, which means he had exactly as much as he needed, and almost nothing more. Stats, the Shield of Iron. Really towing the budgetary line there. Oracles assassinate a Queen. 13 more Ravagers on the way. As Elazer, I think, realizes this isn't going to get any easier for him. He hasn't progressed his tech anywhere except to a Baneling Nest. He's got Baneling speed on the way, but Stats is about to finish +2/+2. And even though... Oh my god, he escaped into the Dropper Lords. What does Stats... Stats has a wall off at his base. He spotted this. I think he realized the Dropper Lords were there. He just couldn't catch him. There's a Phoenix on the way. The Stalkers will blink back behind... Wait, does he have blink? No, they can't blink back. He warps in some Zealots, though. Oracles will spot... Well, pretty much everything else Elazer has. The Archons and Immortals out in front. A confident move out of Stats to actually be out in front of the base, but juggling back with the Warp Prism, dodging the Corrosive Bile. The Oracle softening things up, and Elazer just taps it out. GG. As Elazer is whittled down in Game 1, and Stats holds the line, which I think is, if for some reason you've lived under a rock for the last 14 years of StarCraft 2, yeah, I think you can't get much of a better introduction to Stats. Elazer had nothing behind that besides more of the same, which clearly wasn't working. So, we're going into Game 2, and Stats clearly with the momentum. And a bulletproof defense. A Baneling-proof defense, a Ravager-proof, a Queen-proof defense. Just, Elazer not able to get anything done. So we're going to try something different. In Game 2, I'm Post-Youth. Gold base first. Oh, don't do it. No. Oh. You know, this is one of those times when you gotta ask yourself whether or not you should, not whether or not you could. As Stats... As the Forge into production and starts a pylon, it's a cannon rush. In reaction to this, the second Overlord won't quite... Well, the second Overlord... Oh, it sees the pylon. Well... The pylon could be a decoy, but as soon as it finishes, you should know. Yeah, the drone's already coming off the line. The base is finishing anyways. His cannon rush is quite late in the grand scheme of things. He's gonna spot the drones, but a single cannon, that's not enough. The drone... The neighborhood watch is here, and the cannons are getting chewed up. There is a zealot coming across the map, but the drones are already on top of the cannons. It really doesn't take that many to deal with them. So, continuing to attempt it. Now the zealot is here, so that could complicate things. There are zerglings on the way, but they're not out yet. Well, a zealot surrounded. Gonna kill 3 drones so far. The cannons starting to get close to completion. There's an adept headed across the map. Stats does not have a nexus behind this. He needs to get something done, and so far, killing a couple drones, but a laser's going to have the gold. So, a couple drones he can afford to lose, considering Stats is not going to be able to recover economically, at least in any sort of, maybe stick to defense. That was one of the cannon rushes of all time. Remember, Elazer lives on the European ladder, which is quite literally near 50% Protoss. Now, they're mostly in the middle of the ladder, with it being a bit top-heavy with Cyril and Clem, but I feel like Elazer has not only faced every form of cannon rush before, but he's probably picked out his favorite flavor. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he was relieved to see the cannon rush. Oh no. Nah, don't. Stats, don't. Just don't. You can just not. He does. He's like, but this time, this is a much better map for cannon rushing. There is no way for the drones to get to mining easily. And you can effectively jam a cannon into that little space and wall it off. But he's going to see this right off the bat. We're not pulling the drones on this one. The question will be whether Elazer wants to put together a defense with like Zerglings and Queens, and how much his Stats willing to commit. Because this leaves us in a very odd scenario. The drone comes down, a bit late to deny anything, but I guess it was just keeping him honest. If he could block the... No, okay, just cancels. And now Stats cancels. Everybody just... Okay. De-escalate. Or side-escalate. Double expand for Elazer. Chrono boosting out an adept his Stats, who already got a Nexus behind. So, there is this odd scenario where Elazer could just rebuild a hatch there, but he's already committed to the 2 hatcheries. So now what? Elazer is not going to have the larva nor the economy for quite a while, but Stats is not going to be in much of a position to punish that either. So we're a bit off the beaten path here. Something that is not completely unheard of, but is also, it's kind of a play-it-by-ear situation, where a bit of a poker game, where you have to realize, or do your best to figure out whether your opponent is going for army, or for economy. Because you can no longer just read the script of, oh, he's going to have 2 oracles now, and his 3rd base here. Even though both players are able to keep some track via either adepts, or overlords of what their opponent is doing, it's still going to be mostly guesswork for a while yet as to what they commit to. Educated guesswork, of course. There's an oracle on the way. So it appears both players trying to get back to sanity, snap back to reality, but we'll see if they are allowed to do so. Enough Zerglings to easily take out the Adepts if they're not jammed into a corner. Second gateway at the natural. There is that forge just kind of hanging out there. I do wonder if the game goes on long enough whether he'll remember it exists. Because a lot of players, if they do some sort of crazy cheese, will end up forgetting they used that early cheese building and build another one just because, you know, autopilot kicks in. The most common offenders with this are like dark shrines, occasionally forges. Every once in a while, you get something like a fusion core or an armory, but relatively rare. Oracle, sharking around, looking for an opportunity to dart in, hiding in the trees. It just seems like a dangerous proposition for oracles, but I'm not here to judge. They fly slightly above it. Some adepts coming out. Twilight Council on the way. See what direction he chooses with it. Queens poking at the Oracle. It's gonna be Adept Glaives. There's already 18 more lings on the way. Wants to make sure the Shady Bunch doesn't get too much damage done. Oracle slips in towards the main. Overlord. See a Stalker warped in, but a very conspicuous chrono boost. Actually, I don't know if he noticed the chrono there, but Stasis catches half a dozen drones. And the laser doesn't have so many. That's not a pretty big stoppage of income. Stoppage of income. Get back to work, drones. No upgrades out of the forge. Stats interested in getting some damage done with these adepts, though a bit supply blocked here. 83 over 85, building some pylons now. I think he did just get a warp in, so it's not too bad. Glaive's about to complete. And a dangerous timing considering there's only Zerglings with no upgrades and queens here. The adepts will shade. And he completes it in the midst of a bunch of Zerglings and the queens. Well, that was quite a donation. Get off my queen! The queen's able to kill a uncharacteristic amount of the adepts. They've killed how many drones? A stasis. 0 drones, which is not very many. Adept Shades continuing through. He might be able to target a few down, but the Zerglings are overrunning. There's enough lings on the field. A few adepts jammed into the mineral line in the main base. Stasis is taken out by the queens. Elazer's finally re-expanding. Another stasis catches a third of the mineral line at the natural. But it doesn't actually kill drones. Another stasis. He's addicted. He could just light up the Oracle. In fact, I think he could have killed the Spore. But these are already queued up here. What? 15 adepts in every drone. Well, the stasis keeps the drones alive. Somehow, Stats the pacifist. Or at least respects the workers' rights to live here. As he somehow, between glaved adepts and multiple oracles, has not killed a single drone. Meanwhile, the overlords are slowly but surely wandering into the stalkers, indicating Elazer probably a bit distracted by all this. Despite the lack of tangible losses, the intangible losses are adding up. I guess that overlords are tangible, give or take, but... Well, Baneling Nest on the way. Clearly both players still grappling with the situation. Stats has 1,300 minerals in the bank. He's supply blocked. He's building 4 more pylons. He's getting more randomly supply blocked than the Texas power grid right now, as he spams out half a dozen pylons in the main. He did remember the forge at the natural, so at least there's that. Meanwhile, Elazer has +1 melee done. He is spending his money. He's got 80 drones. It's looking very good for Elazer if he can stay on this trajectory, but he gets supply blocked by an overlord wandering in. Well, it feels like there's a lot of time to turn that train around. Overlords do not move very quickly. Even when you get the upgrade, they're not particularly fast, but... He'll build enough Obies. And now Stats is putting all his production together. The Adepts will shade directly on top of the Hydras, take them out, and then jump into the Prism, getting more damage than the entire first wave of Adepts did by killing those. Well, if he lost the Prism, it would have been an absolute disaster. Good reaction on the Stasis. Another Stasis at the Natural, but this one is literally blocked by a Spore. And the Queen, sir! I almost gets it. The Hydraling Bane is coming together. Storm is not done, nor does he have very many Templar anyways. He should have the Templar ready with Storm. Oh, another Stasis in the main! God. This is ooh, it's a sloppy mess, but sometimes that's more fun. Hydraling coming in. Knocks out one of the gateways. Cannons are finishing. A few Banes slip through. I'm not able to find real damage. And Storm will be complete. 95 drones now for Elazer. Means he can sustain a whole lot of production. The force fields are good, but the Banelings eventually find their connections. And the Hydra count is so damn high. Another wave of Banelings coming in. Shield battery overcharge. Storm, but he's trickling the Banelings in. A drip feed of explosive acid. And it's getting harder and harder to see Stats with a capable army. Though Hydra speed is not quite done yet. And as soon as I say it, it seems like he turns around the fight. 5 probes dead. But still enough to hold on to these 4 bases. Down goes another Archon. Hydra's closing in. Gonna need to merge some more. A single lone Templar. Oh no. The Zerg continue streaming through. In Stats' second attempt at cannon rushing. Seems like it will be met with inevitable demise. Though it took longer this time. Quite a disappointing execution of the Adept Glaives timing. But Elazer can't actually spend his minerals, which is one of those good problems, but he doesn't have the larva. He's at 1,800 minerals, 200 gas, but just not enough larva. Honestly, killing drones may help him. He's at 92. He could, oh my god. A strong gust of wind would knock out that War Prism. 3 damage, that's all you need? Okay, emotional damage. He'll never be a medevac. Alright. Alright, why don't you call it SCV to repair you? Oh wait, that's right. Do you warp in from... Do you pick up units from so far away because the only type of relationships you are long distance? Moving on. The Storms hit a lot of the Hydras. A wave of Banelings coming in. Looking to merge another Archon. 1 Archon picked up. More Templar on the back line. The Shield of Ire trying to hold. Shield battery overcharged. Stasis wards triggered. Nexus in the orange. More Banelings rolling through. And the Nexus itself. The overcharge. And the Nexus dies. And there isn't an alternative. 14 probes with it. The critical mass of Hydras. And Elazer has enough money in the bank to rebuild, but the charge lots are coming in. The Spore! The Spore was in position, but the Adepts pop out. Elazer is losing a surprising amount of economy back at home. But Stats does not have much room to recover. The Banelings will protect the Baneling nest, which seems appropriate. The Adepts finding there are 20 kills on both sides of the workers. The Zealots are a bit distracted. The Adepts shading away. Elazer down to 69 drones, which is nice enough to sustain this production, considering how much he has in the bank. Where are the Queens? And running around trying to inject everything, which is frowned upon in most cultures, but here we are. Meanwhile, Elazer has half the map and most of the money, but not quite able to bring it to bear. I'm hard-pressed to see a reality, or even a realistic hallucination where Stats is able to hold on for long enough to bring this back. But this has been one of the messiest games I've seen in quite a while. I think eventually Elazer consolidates his forces, manages to spend that money, and just slams the point home. But, oh my god, the Immortal. It's a House Immortal, all right? Okay, it guards the gateways. That's what it does. Yeah. No. 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 Stay. Sit. Stay. Meanwhile, the Archon's out in front. Stats down. 50 army supply and 100 overall. The stasis holds the banelings down. The storms are beautiful. But can they be enough? And those banelings are on a timer. Oh no, he needs the Archons. He's struggling so hard. He wants every storm and every Archon. He's struggling to have either. The banelings pop out. Only Archons remain. 2-1 upgrades. 19 more Hydras in production. Stats will live with 5 Archons. But at what cost? he tallied it up. It was too high. 2-1 for Elazer. The cannon rushes. Not going great for the Shield of Iron. Elazer more than capable of dealing with it, though struggling to pull together the army. A bit concerning at how difficult it was to leverage that supply advantage. But definitely easier said than done. And that's why I'm here, not there. And by there, I mean the game, Jimmy! Sorry. Apologize. Alright. Drops the hatch. Or morphs it. You know, whatever they do. Expands its body to cover the largest possible area in order to become a gathering structure, which is the ultimate win for a drone. Alright, that's like life goals. Stats. Not building a forge, so that's good. Couple more drones on the way. We got a spawning pool in production. I don't know, I said it like that. Like, that's the most normal thing. You literally can't do anything else, pretty much, without a spawning pool, but here we are. And gas as well. So Elazer going with the more conservative, making sure he has enough gas for Zergling speed. Because otherwise, Adepts and Oracles can be the worst. Though apparently not the pacifists that Stats is employing. Queen's on the way. And, what's next? Stats clearly in his comfort zone at that mid to late game defense. When he has the tools, he has the Immortals, the Archons, the Storm, the Oracles. It's just he kind of hamstrung himself with the botched cannon, well, not really botched cannon rush, the attempted cannon rush into, how do I put this nicely? One of the worst Adept Glaive timing attacks I've seen in recent StarCraft 2 history. Okay, he would have been better off just A-moving them and letting them go rather than using the shade. But that certainly set the tone for the rest of the game, and he never really recovered from it. Elazer goes for the outside base as opposed to the triangle one, which is a bit less common, but not unheard of. I don't know if there was a probe or something blocking, or if he just likes that one, which you're allowed to be different. I mean, there's a reason why we usually take... The reason you usually take the triangle base is because you can cover, well, at least in my opinion, is you can cover the mineral line with queens from either side. You're less vulnerable to warp prisms and such for the same reason. But taking the outer base means that ground attacks are a little easier to deal with, so we'll see. Does Stats continue his stasis ward efforts? Are we going to see Is there a spore? No. The queens. Looks like he's gonna do the get 2 drones and take most of your hull damage move. A classic. I'm torn on that. Like, you gotta keep him honest. But at the same time, permanently damaging that Oracle. As long as you don't lose it, I think it's fine, but... It feels odd that that's the go-to move, is take 50% hull damage to kill 2 drones. And, like, 80% of games we see it. Here we go again. 2 drones. Maybe he gets another one. Elazer, a bit lackadaisical on that rally point. Ends up getting caught out. And now a forge. No. Wait, just a forge? There's the Twilight. Bit late. But the Adepts, how many? Just pick a number. How many fingers do you have? How many fingers do Protoss have? Not really relevant. But pick a number between 4 and 8, and that's the number of Adepts we're going to be sending out with the Oracles. In this case, it's 7. And he shades into the main, which still... The Oracles can't cover you in the main, but there's not enough Zerglings to really deal with this. And now he shades into the natural. There and back again. A lot of the Adepts already badly bruised. Stasis catches half the mineral line. That's the real win here. He ends up killing a few more drones. There's no spore at the third, but the queens will angrily drive the Oracles away. Another sloppy start, but... That stasis, I think, was more important than all of the Adepts, as a solid half of Elazer's mineral... Yeah, about half of his mineral mining is delayed. Meanwhile, of course, the Zerglings will try to counterattack, and the Oracles are nowhere to be seen. Finally come back home, just as the Adepts die, which will minimize the probe losses, but... Will it? What a mess. What an absolute kerfuffle this game has been so far. And this series in general. I don't know. Did he just cancel a Roach Ward into a Baneling nest? And he's building 5 gas geysers. Alright, he's looking to corner the gas market and drive up prices. Or go for Hydraling Bane. Yeah, you can be the judge. Por qué no los dos? 2 more hatches on the way. Stats has now decided it's his macro turn, so he will be filling in the rest of everything. He's got a Templar arc. Wait, did he just finish the Templar? He just finished. Ah, not again! The stasis word. My God, you could see the... You don't usually see that sort of dip in income, except when, you know, maybe the CEO of Zerg Incorporated posts something stupid on Twitter or something like that. Or mules. But it's rare to see it in Protoss versus Zerg. But the stasis is... The Stacy? How's her mom doing? The stasis is. The stasis is. Yeah. That's it. That's the one. The stasis is. Stop. I can't. Okay, I need to reset. The Zerglings on top of the Templar with their water balloons. He hold positions. May actually kill some. 5 probes dead. Yeah, I felt myself going into a feedback loop. But speaking of, the Templar on the field. Surprisingly hardy with that shield battery behind him. Hydralisks. Banelings. +1 ranged attack. All coming together. Another wave of Banes, but caught before it completes. And actually just decides to cancel all of them. Elazer does maintain a significant supply lead. But, again, it is a laser, so he doesn't have an infestation pit. He doesn't have a lurker den. He has no transition planned besides building more Hydras, more Zerglings, and probably a whole bunch of Banes. It's going to be up to stats to defend, but he knows what he's dealing with. The Storm is required. Sentries are helpful. Another stasis. That Oracle just loitering at the back. He's building additional cannons to bolster the defenses. And here comes a laser. 17 banelings, 169 supply, a pretty nice amount of creep spread, and 1-1 upgrades. Attack for all the relevant units. But there are multiple stasis to defend, as well as a 4th base already online. So if Stats can hold on to his 4th, that's really the main objective right now for Elazer. The stasis catches some Zerglings, creates a decent choke point. The Storm! The Storm! Category 5! Massive Storm, soften up most of the Hydras. Banelings taken out by a brave Archon, which easily can tank them. It takes approximately 38 Banelings to kill an Archon. Actually, I think the number's like 17, but give or take like 3 or 4 based on upgrades. Still, far too many. Well, more storms. What a save! The stasis saves the Banelings from the Templar Storm, which, stasis giveth and stasis taketh. Oh my god, never again. I'm never saying this. The freezy traps. Meanwhile, battery overcharges the natural. They're gonna come out of stasis on top of the Archons, which thankfully tank all of them. And even an Archon in the red, the Zerglings will take it out. The Elazer getting strung out, though. They're still Archons. And Elazer, he just doesn't have the army composition to break through, even with that beautiful stasis save. The Hydraling Bane it doesn't have the effectiveness. He didn't have the numbers. He wasn't even maxed out going into it. And now Stats has the army composition. But again, it's much easier to sit back behind your cannons and your shield batteries and defend than it is to go out onto the creep and try to fight the Zerg on their terms. So Elazer still has the economy, and he still has the production, but he does not have an infestation. So that means we're going to do it again and again and again until something gives, one way or another. Stats warping in around of Zealots at the 4th base. +3, +1. The shield's on the way. Choosing shields this time. Actually, Hydra's getting caught. Rally point, not ideal. 15 more Banelings, but Stats being equal on supply. The army value, 2,600 versus 800 gas. About 3,200 minerals apiece. It's just worth more. And if you measure gas as about twice the value of minerals, which is probably undervaluing it. The Stats' army is just better in every sense. Elazer needs either a beautiful fight or better units. And right now, both are looking optimistic. I guess he also could just maybe outright kill a Nexus with Banelings, but knocks out all of the static defense. Stasis will temporarily stall out more Banelings at the 3rd. The creep spread is reaching onto the doorstep here and will finally be taken down. But Elazer using it as a springboard for all these attacks. The Banelings gonna come out of stasis, taken out. The Nexus starting to take damage. Zerglings into the mineral line. Hydras. Oh, the Storm. Evaporating Banelings and Hydras alike. 7 probes dead. But another costly fight for Elazer. Thing is, though, he's not taking any damage at home. He still has 84 drones, and pretty much all the bases he's reached for at any point. So, either Stats finally puts together an attack, or Elazer may very well grind him down. As Stats really embodying that Shield of Ire mindset, possibly to a fault at this stage. But he's nearly maxed out. He's got 3 1-1 upgrades, both +1 armor and shields, and is now slapping down more cannons and batteries to bolster the defenses yet again. Stats may have the army he needs to actually go on the attack. The Zealots bravely charge in like it's that cinematic where the Banelings are surprisingly effective, but another stasis. Hydra's, Lings, and Banes trying to get through. The Zealots taking the Banelings. Stasis stalls out a few units, though not enough to really matter. The Archons lead the charge. The Immortals are blasting through. Another wave of Banes completes, but the Storm into Archon merge under fire. 7 drones down. cutting off the base. He doesn't even know about the hatchery over near the, like, let's call it 7:30 location. But the 9 o'clock base is taken out. Immortals and Archons. Overlords caught out on the field. And Elazer is running out of options. Stats strikes back and brings us to Game 5. Oh my. Well. Elazer still has not yet seen Hive Tech, whereas Stats, whenever he avoids his... Cannon rushes are not good for your health, Protoss players, either mentally or physically. It really did, maybe both. So far for Stats, it's both. But as he's avoided his primal Protoss instinct to cannon rush, he's found a lot of success just playing defense. As Elazer, somewhat predictable. Dangerous, but predictable. Where it kind of feels like Stats is the matador here, and Elazer's the bull, waving the 4th base flag, like, come on in, come charging in, with the Hydraling and Bane, and then the moment he gets close, Storm and Immortals and Archons. And that bull made a big mistake in not taking up to Hive and Lurkers. Classic mistake. Stats does force Elazer into the 3rd base. Ghost River, a bit of an awkward map to start off as Zerg. You can't necessarily get your natural base. You don't have options for a 3rd. Either you take this one, or you're not taking anything at all. Well, maybe you take their natural, as some players do, but... So, and it has the least bases of any map in the current pool. So, if it goes late, well, it won't stay there for too long. Definitely a scrappy series. And I say that in the literal sense, not in the... These players are making big... Well, I say it in both senses. Both in the quite literally trading out tons of units all the time, desperately pulling together attacks or defenses with whatever you have, and also the it's pretty sloppy sense, which is caster speak for really shouldn't have lost all those units in that way. But both ways on display here. But Stats clearly more comfortable on defense. I do want to see how it would go if Elazer just rushes up to Hive and either Lurkers or just straight up upgrades and Vipers. But it feels like Stats is nearly impregnable on defense, and he's keeping him so busy with the stasis. No. The Oracles and their myriad abilities, as well as the Adept Shades. Like and subscribe for speech therapy. You know what I'm not looking forward to? Is saying Therium for Stormgate. Alright, I'll be honest. I don't love the terms Luminite and Therium because they're minerals and gas, clearly. But also, we're already struggling enough. Don't add so many THs into it. Thousands of Therium thickets. Thinly. Thanos. Oh, snap. Thank you for coming to my slam poetry TEDx talk. Please, you can find my seminar and my 48-page book, which is available in Japanese only. That made almost as much sense as this series so far. Clearly, both players have their style, and they're sticking to it. And any deviation is a real struggle. Oracle, another Oracle comes in. Gonna do the... Yep, there's the 2 drones. Get off, Mike! Well... Kinda deserved that one. The Adepts come out, but they're caught by the marauding Zerglings. The Oracles, another Oracle built. He actually built An additional one, I believe. Yeah. Replace the one he lost. I take it back, actually. I don't know if he did. It's been hectic. Elazer, 49 drones, which is not a comfortable number for Zerg. He's getting a lair. If he starts Overlord speed, we know where he's going. It feels odd that he doesn't have any other tech in production right now, though. He clearly wants to match. He's making so many lings. This is... He added a few more drones, but so many lings here. And he really wants to get that damage done, but the positioning, the shield battery is incredibly well placed. He's gonna get the battery, but by the time he gets it, the adept count, the oracles... well, the probes will fight. No, that was perfect defense. Like, he loses one adept. That's a disaster. One probe. No. He got 99 problems, but Zerglings ain't one. Apparently 35 Zerglings are also not one. In any sense. Elazer, that felt desperate. If I'm stats there, I'm like, nice. Because clearly, that's a big investment. And it could have gone horrible. If he doesn't pull the probes at the right time, if the adepts aren't quite jammed in just the right way, then he could easily lose his adepts and much of the mineral line. But that is not the case. It was all set up exactly as he needed it, and he handles it beautifully. And now Elazer has hit the 66 drone mark, which means it's time. The roaches are in production. Roach speed as well. Will the yep. Wait, do you have Overlord speed? No. He's going to realize that in, does he realize it before or after he tries to drop the queens? This is a bit embarrassing. Brenda? You know those Overlords don't have speed, right? Yes. Yes. It's a delayed drop. Yeah. You know, is it faster than what? So dropper lords are slightly faster than non-dropper lords, but is it faster than walking? I guess it's more comfortable, but we've arrived! The queens are here, and here comes Elazer, looking to finish it like he started, one way or another, with the Roach Ravager Queen timing. And this one's good. The queens are at the back. The delayed drop actually ends up working out pretty well. Warping in another wave of charge lots. I assume they're charge lots. Indeed they are. The stasis, not enough. The Immortal and Archon count looking pretty healthy right now. The queens caught out. Oh, need to pull the queens. Well, they're drawing fire, which is something. Oracles come around to the north side. The queens are here to deal with the oracles. They got one job. Well, they have like 3 jobs, but the main job is deal with the oracles. The corrosive bows are raining down. The queens are able to target. The immortals are blasting the queens. Susan, focus! Meanwhile, more corrosive bow, but shield battery overcharge comes up, and the immortals are driving the Roach Ravager back. 1 queen remains. Oracle's out of energy. +2 on the way. 14 more roaches. Corrosive bow raining down again. Stats is trying to hold the high ground. He's gonna end up losing one of these immortals, but that's not gonna be enough. He holds and picks up the rest with only a single stalker to deal with it. Some Zerglings are coming out of stasis. It's not quite over yet, but 4 immortals. 4 immortals are quite a stalwart defense. 15 kills, 13 kills, a fresh one. Some rookies on the field, but another wave throws about. But Elazer, a Ravager leg, a single queen remains. There's still an Oracle. But the Archon count is growing. The Ravagers, not exactly where you want to be born. Unfortunately, Elazer now effectively forced into trying something new, which it was a dangerous timing, but just didn't quite find the mark. Stats kept his cool. He kept the core of the army alive. The Immortals, well, actually I think he lost all the Archons, but the setup of the base was about perfect. The timing on the overcharge worked out amazing, and the Immortal count is too damn high. That Immortal count may very well trundle across and carry him to victory. As Elazer has more of the same, and he wasn't able to deal with the Immortals before, and now, well, he's building a lot of roaches. Quantity is a quality all its own. A few Archons in front, spraying out more corrosive bile than a rowdy frat party, but Storm is on the way. Elazer does have a fourth. He does have a fifth hatchery actually on the way, whereas Stats was not able to get a fourth base during this. So there are still angles of attack. There are still options. But, more importantly, there are 8 Immortals. This is a hard wall. There's only one pylon there. When he gets through it, it's 2 probes, which is not exactly the number he was looking for. I would say higher than 2 was what he was aiming at. Ideally, hopefully. $44 more lings. 15 banelings. The laser is maxed out, but Stats is the only one with upgrades. Sprays out a wave of corrosive bile. 30 banelings on the way. No bane speed, though. Storm will be complete in 2 seconds. And Stats is going to make use of it the moment it does. The Immortals pounding their way forward. Baneling speed is completed. The Archon's kind of strung out. Many of them going down to the south side, as well as a lot of the Zealots. That's not really controlling for the pathing there. Missile attacks, level 1, completed for the Zerg. Elazer has drones at this base. Only a few of them, but there are 9 Immortals on the field. Stats is Mass Immortal. Here come the Zerg from every side. Some Archons getting caught. More Zealots warped in. Another Archon just kind of standing by. Corrosive Biles knock out an Immortal. The Templar exhaust their storms, but the Immortals hold. The barriers holding the line. The Zergling count is not high enough to dilute the Immortal fire. Roaches and Ravagers still struggling. +2 attack done. Sidesteps Corrosive Bile. Blast through the Queen. The drones are pulled off the line. Elazer desperate to hold. One Immortal goes down, but the rest are putting their names to the test. And Stats will power through as Elazer feels like he tried his big move in every game. And it only worked out when he already had such an economic lead. But Stats adapts and overcomes. Still dangerously close. Just because he knew it was coming doesn't mean it was much easier to defend. But Stats still clearly experienced in that later game Protoss. Comfortable fighting against overwhelming amounts of Zerg. And a deserved 3-2 victory. Just lay off the cannon rush, Stats. I mean, it's fun. It feels good. But that doesn't mean it's a good idea. Words to take to heart. And hopefully, if you enjoyed and you got the means of motivation, you can check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now. 1,374? Yeah, you made it this far. But thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. And I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.